I'm Von Kevitz, knit and crochet designer for one-of-a-kind makers who dare to be original. I'm gonna let Ellen know I'm on. All right, on now. So, let me get myself situated. I literally just sat down. Okay. So happy Saturday. Hopefully, you guys will find me and join me. And I think Ellen's waiting to see me, so I'll have somebody to chat with today. Just read an awesome book, so I can't wait to discuss it. All right, so let's just start with a prayer. Lord, thank you for another fantastic Saturday where I get to meet and connect with and share the fun things, the beautiful things of that the week has offered, to rest and connect with amazing makers that finds this channel that I'm super, super grateful for, and the friends that I meet along the way. In Jesus' name, thank you. Okay. Hey, Ellen, so glad you found me. I just finished listening to The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. I've heard about this book years ago. It's been like, on my quest for betterment and reading self-help books and learning all the things. The Power of Habits, the yellow book, keeps popping up, but I never got the book. I never read it. I never listened to it. I always hesitated, right? Hey, Sarah. Oh, good. Ellen and Sarah are on. It's like Monday morning at 6 a.m. So I started last week and I just finished it. And it is such a phenomenal book. And so many things to unpack from that book. Like, I know why it's a bestseller. I know why people, when you go on a quest of betterment, they always recommend this book. And I know why they do now, because it's one of my top fives. I have a very handful of books that I absolutely love, core books, and besides the Bible. um, The War of Art is amazing by Stephen Pressfield. It's and he's got 3 books: The War of Art, Do the Work, and Turning Pro. Those are the 3. It's like a trilogy, but in essence, if you're a creative, in which we all are, every single human being is a creator, because we are made by our Creator in His image. It's our duty to continue to create. And The War of Art is a great book. It's about like staring down a blank page as an author, like how resistance meets you. And we all know what resistance looks like. Resistance comes and stops us on our track every single day by distracting us and everything. So The War of Art is like an awesome book. So that's a must. Essentialism. What do you remember who the author for Essentialism is, Sarah? Because I know I got Sarah to read that book and she loved it as well. And that's basically like a book about like sticking with what's important and not overwhelmed, because we're in a day and age where we just consume, and we want more and more and more. And Essentialism is a great book when you feel overwhelmed, because it gives you another way where you thanks, Sarah. I think it's Greg something. I can't think of his name. For the longest time I had it. McKinney? I'm not sure. But that book is awesome. And there are more, but right now, The Power of Habit is one of them. If everybody needs to read this book. Everybody needs to. Greg McEwen. That's it. I knew it was a Greg McEwen. I was like McKinney. I was close. And that's the author of Essentialism. The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. He basically tells you we're creatures of habit. We do everything out of habit. That's why it's one of my creative interview questions. When I do those questions, I always ask, like, do you have any habits or rituals? That I'm always curious what people like do that help them, in their creative process. And everything we do is habitual, right down to brushing our teeth, right down to the foods that we eat, like getting up, going to sleep late, watching TV, binging, like everything is habitual. We do because we're just creatures of habit. When we're driving, you know how you can drive to work every single day, and then all of a sudden you're in the same route and you went to go to church, and instead you go to work because you forgot which highway you were going to go off, because you just automatically, your body does one thing and your mind is like. So we are all creatures of habits, and you know that. And the reason, when you pay attention, so you're like, so I know that I have bad habits. And so how do you correct habits, right? And so that's been my quest. And that's why I was like, okay, the reason why I even been looking into habits, because in the creative space, because I'm being blocked creatively, I needed to figure out how to fix my brain. And basically that's all I'm under so much anxiety and anxiousness up in my brain. And when the more things we can do habitually, the easier it is on our brain, that we don't have decision fatigue. And so if you're deciding, that's why if you notice, like the Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg, like why he only wears black t-shirts is because he's eliminating decision fatigue, so that he spends his brain cells coming up with other things. And the last thing he wants to do is decide what he's wearing every morning. You know what I mean? So he wears the same thing every day, black t-shirts over and over again. That's why, like, the who was the other one, the iPad guy, the Apple dude, I can't think of his name right now. He has like one suit that he wears, not one suit, but the same looking suit, because they eliminate decision fatigue. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how do I eliminate some decision fatigue? And so therefore, if I'm building good habits, then I can start doing things habitually, and then I don't have to think about it, right? And this is where my brain was thinking about where to go. So habits consist of three things: a cue, an action, and a reward. A cue is the trigger to a habit, and it's the same loop every single time. There's something that triggers our habit, and then we do the habit, which is the action. We take in the action, and then there's a reward. Think about brushing your teeth. Every single person brushes their teeth, right? I mean, maybe one person in the world doesn't. But when you wake up and your mouth is filmy and you have bad breath and you feel like there, you're like, so the action is you brushing your teeth, right? And then have teeth and your mouth is all tingly and everything. And in the book, they talk about, as a consumer and a retailer, hey, Lenny, we're talking about habits today. If as consumers, they were telling the story about how, in the book, telling a story about how, the reason why I pushed off getting this book, because I thought it was a dry book. I thought like it was a dry scientific book. It was going to put me to sleep and I could never get through it. It is. I just lost read it, and then I must have came back. But it's very interesting and relevant. It's very relevant. So it was an easy read all the way through. But it was talking about how one of the stories was how a toothpaste person was checking how do you get people to buy more toothpaste. This is way back in the days before, when toothpaste first started. I don't remember the name of the company. So he was figuring, how do we get people to buy toothpaste? So what you had to do was you have to ingrain it into a habit of theirs. So that's why they make, that's why they put mint in our toothpaste. The mint, it has nothing to do with cleaning our teeth. Cleaning our teeth is just baking soda and a paste. That's toothpaste. That cleans our teeth. That brushes the film. But I wear same gray t-shirts, drives my husband nuts. I'm in the same boat. I'm in the dark color, so I don't worry about, the same thing. Hey, Angela, so glad you can join us live. Um, so the mint they put in your toothpaste has nothing to do with cleaning your teeth. What it does is it triggers a habit because now your mouth gets so used to the mint, it craves the mint. It craves the clean teeth feeling, the tingly. It craves it. So now we have tell him it's to prevent, yes, it's to prevent decision fatigue so that you can use to do other amazing things. That's what you tell your husband, Ellie. um, uh, so I so they put the toothpaste, they put the mint in, and once they did that, people started using it more and more and more and more, and that's how it became a habit. And then all of a sudden, toothpaste becomes $1 billion business. Are you picking up what I'm saying? Like, so they know that consumers know to in order to another story was how Target is such a successful thing because they figured out how to track people's habits, and they know when to predict when people will buy things, and then incentivize them with coupons so that they come back, and they know your habits and your rituals more than you do, so they can predict what you're going to anticipate and get it all there. I'm like, it's a fascinating book, guys. It's a fascinating book. So the one thing that is resonating with me so much in that book, it's haunting me. It haunts me, and I can't shake the story from this book. It starts off by a lady who was basically like a stay-at-home mom, and her kids are growing up, and she's feeling like she's doesn't have anything to look forward to, doesn't have it, like her life is stale. Her kids are growing up and they're doing their own thing, and she's given so much of herself to them for so long, she's lost her identity. So this woman who doesn't know what, you know what I mean, has no, and her husband goes to work, the kids are off at school, and she's like trying to figure out what does she do. So, but she can't go too far because she has to still be around to pick up her kids, and from school and from activities and everything. So it's not like she can go take a full-time job and do whatever. So she found, like, so somewhere along the line she's like, uh what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do one thing. Somebody must have suggested to her, like, take one day and do something, like on Fridays, like, go splurge, get dressed up, go get a cup of coffee, go do something and have something to do, right? So she one Friday she and which she one Friday she decided she would get up, take her kids to school, and then she would come home and clean up, get dressed up, and then go to the casino, because it's a one-stop shop. It's you can there's you could do so many things, right, at the casino. And so she would go there and went to get something to eat at the casino, and then she went back, and then she went to pick up her kids. That was one Friday. The next Friday, she's like, okay, I'll dress up again. She went back to the casino. She wasn't gambling. She was just going to eat, going to have light and meet people and whatever, and then get something to eat, and then go get her kid. And then the next Friday, she went back, got all dressed up, went to the casino because of the atmosphere. And then she started looking around, and she goes, well, maybe I'll put in $1, but watch how people are working. But she never played with more than she had, always never went over the $20 that she allowed herself to play with. And then next Friday, and never go over her time, and never spend more than her money. And then all of a sudden, habitually, she would go there every week, play a little bit more. The timing, like, went a little bit further, and then she won something, you know, and then she never lost too much, but she won a lot. And then she went back and wanted to win more, because now she could pay the bills. Now she could pay her groceries the one week, and then she'd go back and she'd lose a little bit, and then she'd come back, and then the next Friday. Now it's not just Fridays. Now it's Wednesday and Friday, and then she'd go back and she'd play a little longer, still picking up her kids, and then more and more her limits, her money limits, because she's winning big, so she'll play a little bit more, and then you just go a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and before you know it, she's got a gambling addiction, right? Because of the habit that she had developed. The first reward was her feeling like she felt like she had something to do. Her second reward that she was doing was giving something to, looking forward to, having something to look forward to. The third reward was that she started to win, right? The the next reward was, she started to win more. And when we think about habits, we're not thinking of the repercussions one way or another. Like, it's always a cue. Something triggers you, you take an action, and then you are rewarded for that. And then we come back in the same loop over and over again. You know, like, to the point where she had a huge gambling problem, and then her family doesn't see her anymore, and to the point where she would take out loans from her parents, and then they cut her off, to the point where, and then the gambling people, like, to the point where she went bankrupt, to the tune of $20,000, and had to file for bankruptcy. And then she moved away, left the state. Her parents cut her off. All this stuff. She'd had to turn her life around, because now she's hit rock bottom. She's done. Hit rock bottom, right? Moved to her state, got herself clean, got herself off the system. They stopped tracking her. They stopped, like, sending her pamphlets, because she left. They lost her address and everything. They have no connection to her. Well, then, so now she's in a new life, new everything. And then hasn't gambled, hasn't done anything. Her parents died, and they left her a lot of money, because she's a changed woman, and she was the single heir. So her parents left her $1 million. So she bought her house, she bought her mother-in-law's, like, took care of her family, and she was living comfortably. They're well, right? She's well with the money. She went back to some kind of a thing, like a family reunion or a high school reunion, got back to that same casino somewhere, and they recognized her, because she was a high baller. They would, like, give her comps and everything, so they recognized her immediately. And that's the thing about places like casinos and everything. They're just like everything else, just like any other business. They target what you're habitually, and they bank on your addiction, one way or another. Toys, toys, games, food, chips. Like, we're talking, like, the innocence of things to the big things. They bank on your habits and your rituals. And then because they know the moment you develop a habit to whatever, the item, they have a consumer for life, right? That's how businesses work. That's how the commercial business works. Anybody that's selling something, they're trying to hone in on your habits so that you can be addicted to it, and then you come back, right? They always want you coming back. So they, so the casino, she went in. They were just hanging out to stop her and her husband. They knew who she was, and they somehow found out her thing. So then they would send her, like, you can get her free. You can go see a show, and then she'd start to feel guilty. Like, if they're comping her with, then her family would come around, because they're like, she can get them a free hotel. They can get them the wedding and everything. It's insane at the level of, like, the tears that you walk yourself through, before you know, she was back deep into her addiction again, because to her triggers, to her actions, to her reward, and to the point where she's, like, there nonstop, and she lost all of her money. She lost the $1 million because of the habit. That story, so between that and then another comparison story of a sleepwalker who's been sleepwalking his whole life, and then just ended up murdering his wife in his sleep, because he thought she was being threatened. He thought she was being raped, and he went and got her up and was choking the person they thought was raping his wife, and it turned out to be him asleep choking his wife. He got so it was like a parallel story of those two stories. This book is not just about that. This is the part of the book that haunted me, was how they took how it was one person that went on to a bad habit, and the habit just consumed her life. I went to casino once, and once every week I got stuff in the mail. Exactly, exactly, Sarah. The same thing. That's exactly how it is. The This is how I knew a long time ago that I know. See, addiction, I think the part of it is in your DNA. Some people have an addictive personality and some people don't. Some people can just consume. I have an addictive personality. I always knew it. I don't know if it's because I always knew it. How I knew is because if I liked a game, I would play for it all night. If I like a show, and Netflix is the worst thing for an addictive personality because I will keep watching the show until I binge until it's gone. Food, I'm the same way when it comes to food, and I love food. I'll binge until it's gone. I, you know, so I'll play until I'm completed with the game. Like I will binge the game. So I know I have an addictive personality. I will start a project on knit and crochet project, and I will work on it for 9 hours straight and not eat, not do anything, and not care about anybody because I'm in my own world because I just want to finish. That's an addictive personality. I know that. And because I know that about myself, that's why I don't drink and I don't smoke and I don't do drugs. Three huge things that I know that if I start either one, and gambling is the other thing, but I'm too broke to gamble to start a gambling habit. So that's why I don't even ever include gambling in it. But that's why I don't do that, because I know that if I start that path, I will be addicted to alcohol, smoking, and drugs. Like I will. There's no light, like what is it, there's no casual way about it. You know, I play free bingo. so so that's so reading that book was amazing, but it's just watching. So here's the life lesson of the book is, so there's a cue and it's a cycle. Cue, action, and reward, right? Always the same circle. You get up, like at work, if there's a certain time in the day where, like when we get up, the first thing you do is make coffee. So you know how I fixed my coffee addiction? Do you know how I changed my coffee addiction? I didn't I didn't try to. Oh, the big lesson. My brain is all over. The big lesson is you can never change the cue. You'll never change the trigger. The trigger is always going to happen. The cue is always going to happen. When we try to fix a bad habit, we always attack the cue. So if I'm anxious or if I'm bored, I'll want to eat something. I can't prevent boredom. Boredom comes. You know what I mean? Just like a certain time of day comes, just like morning comes, just like being tired. That the trigger will always happen because it always does. It's outside of our control. It's from the outside world. That's the cue. What now? The only thing that you can fix is the action, the habit that you are doing, and then finding out if the reward sticks. You can fix the reward, you can adjust the reward, and you can adjust the action, but you can never fix the cue. You can never touch the cue. Cue comes, triggers happen, right? Whatever your cue is. So figure out whatever. So if you want to change your habit for the good and get rid of the bad. So in my instance, I wanted to cut my coffee addiction. I wanted to cut the habit because I wanted to cut cream and sugar. I needed to eliminate that from my diet because my health is in crucial repair, right? I need to repair, and I know cream and sugar is not good for my body. So what do? I know that I start off every morning because I'm addicted. I start off every morning with my cream and sugar filled coffee, right? That I'm going to start my morning every single day because I've been doing that for the past 20 years whenever I could drink coffee. By the way, I haven't drank coffee when I was little because until I started my coffee addiction um, in my late 20s after I realized I wasn't going to grow anymore because I didn't want to stun my growth. They always said if you drink coffee, you stun your growth. And as a short Asian, I stayed away from coffee like the plague. And then all of a sudden, I started drinking it one day because I think I was tired, and I did it to wake up, and there was the reward. It got me alert. And the next time I got tired, I would drink coffee, and it would wake me up. And there's the tired is the cue. Coffee was the action. Alert is the reward. And then I have a coffee addiction, right? Then we have coffee addictions. We're addicted to it. It becomes our habit. So I knew I needed to fix this habit. What do I do to get rid of my coffee addiction? I haven't had coffee, I was going to say, I haven't had coffee and cream and sugar in like a month and a half. And how I was able to streamline for the first time in my life. I've tried to keep up coffee many times before, and it never worked. The reason why I did was this time around was I replaced my coffee with hot tea. I kept my same ritual. I got up, I walked over to the Keurig, I turned it on, right? My only action was that instead of putting the coffee cup in, I opened a tea bag and put it in the hot water, right? And then I sat down and I drank it. Day one, reward was not good. Day two, reward still not good, but I know because my resolve is still strong in the beginning. My resolve was I need to cut my cream and sugar. So this is it. The coffee is what cream and sugar. What helped me was I had caffeinated tea, highly caffeinated tea, because I needed to wake up. If I was falling asleep, tea wasn't going to work. So I needed high caffeinated tea. So I did that. Then I started sleeping more. Then I'm not as tired as much. Now I'm just drinking tea. You know, I cut my coffee addiction from the cream and sugar because I replaced my coffee with tea. I replaced the action and I found a better reward. And my better reward is I no longer have coffee breath. I no longer, you know what I mean? Don't have the slump of the crashing of, oh, by 10 o'clock, I need another cup, you know, when what caffeine will do. So those are the rewards. And then I stuck with it. That's how you change habits. It's a weird relevancy, but I just want to talk a bit about that. I figured out another thing that I was doing. So why I wasn't creating, why I stopped making. When I first got married, I wanted to pick a hobby to do when I was bored, right? John was going to be working around the house. I can fix around the house, but so I picked up knit and crochet because I wanted to learn a skill, you know, and I wanted to make things for around the house. I wanted to do, so making became my habit and my addiction. Knitting and crocheting became my addiction. When I would feel bored, when I would feel, you know, I would knit, I would crochet, I would create. When my mind got a little tense and anxiety and overwhelmed, my desire to put something in order was to knit something, one thing at one stitch at a time, and I put it in order. When I got sick and I got the smartphone, I became addicted. It became easier to reach for the phone instead of reach for the yarn and the hook and needle. And then I got addicted to my cell phone because of all the things, right? And then, so when I got sick, it just became easier to play games. And then I got addicted to the games. So when I felt anxious, when I felt like I wanted to put something in order, the first thing I'm reaching for now is my game, my phone, whatever's in the social media, whatever's giving me the quick relief that I need. It was no longer in the making process. Like it was no longer knit and crochet. And so I'm like, that's why I was like, I haven't made in a year. And I'm like, what the heck happened? So new habit has been replaced, right? So I know I have a phone addiction and I was wasting time on this phone. So I needed to fix my phone habit. And how I did that was I replaced it with the bullet journal. So in September, you saw I shared, I was like, okay, I need to figure out because I'm feeling so anxious. I'm overwhelmed. I have all the things. My brain is like backfiring on me. I can't remember anything. Decision fatigue is like beyond whatever. And I need to create. I want to be a designer, right? I want to put out patterns. I want to create things and I want to share how to make it. And I want to show people what to do so that they can do it themselves and so that they can feel autonomous and make these beautiful creations and know that they came from them. But I can't do all this that I want to do if I'm stuck in this place, right? So that's why I've been on this quest. I need to figure out, how do I unblock my brain? How do I stop my phone addiction? How do I go back to creating again and move forward? So I knew about the bullet journal and I'm going to share with you. So I've been doing, so I replaced the phone. So now when I feel anxious, I write everything. So the new habit that I've developed in this past was over a month, because it's September and I'm into October, so about a month now. I've been knee deep in my bullet journal, and my habit that I've been creating is to write everything down. Write everything down. So I start my day, and you guys can figure out. There's a bunch of great YouTube videos. The Bullet Journal by Ryder Carroll is awesome. Ellie, did you get your book? Did you read that? Did you start it? Because my model's doing that now too, and she's loving it. I know Julia's doing it, and she's loving it. Julia's a designer at work with me, and she's loving it. And we're actually doing the last 90 days together. And it's helped me out a lot with my anxieties. It's helped me out a lot with putting something in order in my head. And the reward is the fact that I have one place to store my brain. So my bullet journal is literally my backup brain. Whatever is up here is correlated to this book. And it is amazing. I've solved problems through it. I've created from it. I write everything down so I don't forget anything. So I'm not thinking and like boggling up, and then I cross things off when I complete it. I slash through things when I realize it's no longer relevant, but it was great that I put it down, and you know what I mean? All the things. And I'm finding out my screen time. I'm not even aware of this phone anymore. If you guys notice why I'm not even on social media, it's because I'm not on the phone anymore. I'm not using this tech as much. I've like barely, because I went back to like this, and I'm engaging with myself and I'm literally having a relationship with myself. I'm getting to know myself through this bullet journal, and it's been amazing. And that book is just awesome because I felt like it was relevant. It's really relevant. So if you guys are if you guys are trying to fix a habit of realizing there's some things that you want to eliminate, know that you can never fix your cue. You know what I mean? The cues come, the triggers come. What you have to do is spend your energy in replacing the action and finding rewards that go with it. You know what I mean? That keep you coming back and doing it. And once you do it enough, it becomes a habit. You know, one of the things I start great habits. My problem is staying with it with everything. Lori, I'm the same way. One of So my one of my habits that I do, one of my practices that I do every day is I look for gratitude. So in the last 90 days, I was sharing with you, we're just spending the last October, November, December, finishing off the year strong, as if it was January. What would life look like if I actually finished this year, the last 90 days strong, as if it was January? Can you imagine what January would look like if I was already if I was already showing up the way I want to show up in January? So one of the practices, so we were doing in the last 90 days, we're just doing 5 to thrive, 5 things. Drink water, half my body weight in ounces, which I've already lost 5 pounds. This just from cutting sugar and just from cutting cream. And my habit is still the same. I'm now starting to incorporate exercise, which is moving my body for 30 minutes. This week, I'm going to just turn on the music. I just got an idea from one of the Facebook groups. It's just to turn on the music for 30 minutes and dance. And just move my body. So I'm going to incorporate that this week. Drink your water, move my body for 30 minutes, get up 1 hour earlier to pursue anything, like just for quiet time for myself, whether to journal, to work out, to do whatever. Just show up before everybody else does. 1 hour, give yourself 1 hour before the world comes at you. You know what I mean? And so that's that. And then give up one category of food, which we already know I am strong about giving up sugar, or at least cutting back sugar and cream. Definitely no dairy. So I'm working very hard on eliminating those two. I might stick with that all the rest of the 3 months, if not forever. But she said for the month, you just give it up. Because if you give up something for 30 days, not because it's bad, or you could replace it. She's like, I don't care if you replace it with anything else. So say I give up ice cream, which I did because it's part of the cream and sugar. Say I give up ice cream. She's like, I don't care how many chips you eat. If you want to eat 16 bags of chips, I don't care what you do. Don't eat the one category of food. Just to show to yourself that you will show up for yourself. And I'm like, and hold yourself accountable. Just to prove to yourself that you can do something for yourself. That the item doesn't own you. You know, so that's why she says give up one category of food, and then gratitude for, write 5 things you're grateful for every day. When you're looking for gratitude, you spend your whole day looking for the little things that make you feel good, the little things that are the positives. And when you do that, you just have a brighter side of your day. And then you write it down. And writing it down is not the action of writing it down. It's the fact that you spend your day looking for good things. So you can write 5 good things down, right? And it just changes your outlook. So one of my habits that I do is write 5 grateful things I'm grateful for, and I write down the same 10 goals every single day. It's from the Start Today Journal by Rachel Hollis. If you guys want to know what that is you write 10 goals of what you want in 10 years. Look at your life 10 years from now. Begin with the end in mind, which is another great book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Oh my God, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think I'm going to talk about that book next week, because I read that book a while ago and I loved it. Those 7 habits are amazing. One of them is begin with the end in mind, which is something I'm not good at. I'm not good at the end. When you sit down and envision, I've never sat down and envisioned what I wanted for the end of my life. And if I don't do that, how will I know where to go? It's literally like us wanting to go to California. I'm from Pennsylvania, and say my husband and I are going to go to California, right? Can you imagine if we just said we're going to go to California and get in the car? Where are we going? We didn't have a place. We have no destination. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? You know what I mean? Like if you don't know. So begin with the end in mind. Have a final. So those 10 goals that I write down every day, the exact same 10 goals over and over again every day, that's the end. That's my end goal. I want these things. And one of them is I finish what I start. That's literally what I write. That's my number 3 goal is I write down, I finish what I start. I finish what I start. FYI, just in case you guys want to know, my number 1 is Jesus is my BFF. That's my number 1 goal. Jesus is my BFF. I write that down every day because I'm reminded of what I'm on this earth for. And it is to be friends with my BFF, Jesus. So I act and I live accordingly, or I try my very best because it's my number 1. So, and then some goals are more, but one of them is I finish what I start, because I had that same problem. But if I write it every day, I know that that's what I'm going for. I can cut sugar for a week and then I go way off track. I've heard yo-yo is worse than one way or another. How do you stick with it for the long term? All the sugar makes me feel lousy. How do I stick with it for the long term? I'm engaging in my bullet journal. The reason why this has helped me so much is what's happened is, so I tell myself, I want to lose weight. I want to feel good. I want to cut cream and sugar. I don't want cookies anymore. I know it's bad for me. When I eat it, I feel bad. But then I go to work and then somebody brings in homemade cookies and it's right there. And the smell, I'm not buying it at the store. We're not buying the junk at the store. So I've already made that decision, right? So it's not in our house. But then I'll go to work and it'll be there and the fumes and everybody's eating and there's like 20 people. Oh, this is so good. Did you have one? And I'm like, of course, whatever intention I had that morning to say I'm going to be the best version of myself goes out the door, goes out the window, right? Because the cookie's right there. I'm reaching for it and I'm eating it and I'm enjoying it with my coffee and it's like awesome. And then all of a sudden 10 o'clock, I feel horrible. And I'm like, oh no, I have like 6 more hours of this day. And all I want to do is take a nap. And I have a stomach ache, right? Like that, no matter what I woke up to, the difference right now, Lori, how I was able to do it for a month and more and probably forever is now that I have this book and now I'm engaging with myself and engaging with my thoughts. I'm engaging with my daily habit. Like I'm writing down my same goals every single day. So I start off every morning, and if it's not in the morning, sometimes it's like at night, it doesn't matter. I'm writing down once a day my 5 gratitudes, and I'm writing down my top 10 goals, my 10 goals that I'm trying to pursue, right? And And one of them is health related. So I know I'm engaging with it every day. I have a health related goal. I have a health goal, right? So now the cookie comes along and I go to work and I see it and I go, instead of reaching for that cookie, you know what I do? I come to my journal and for that day, I'm like, cookies at work, I passed. I wrote it down. I processed it in my head. I wrote it down. And because I wrote it down, I took the actions and I wrote the words out and I felt the relief. You want to know what the reward is? I've replaced my habit. The trigger is still there. People are bringing cookies, okay? People are bringing cookies. The food is still coming to the office. The only habit that I changed is, instead of reaching for that cookie, I go to my journal and I wrote it down. Cookies were brought to me. Cookies came. They looked delicious. They smelled great. I can go into detail depending on how like crazy I want this cookie, how tempting it is. But now it's not even tempting me anymore. Now I just basically log it in and go, cookies passed. I feel awesome. I'm so proud of myself. You know, the one day I was like, I actually wrote, this is really hard because I really wanted that cookie. You know what I mean? So I'll write, this is really hard. Some days I'll say, this is awesome. I'm very proud of myself. This was an easy turn down. Donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, like, you know, cheap donuts, easy turn down. And I write it down. The reward is that I feel great in the fact that I said no, that I committed to myself and I did something. The what makes it stick is I'm constantly engaging with it. I'm engaging with that thought. I'm living it out as if I'm getting the same satisfaction, if not more satisfied, from writing it down and acknowledging the good deed that I'm pursuing, as opposed to standing there feeling guilty that, okay, I'm doing exactly the opposite of what I claim to want in my life. Does that make sense? That's the difference, Lori. That's the difference. And Sultana, I saw you on here. So glad. I'm about to jump off very soon because Sultana and I have a nice meeting to have today. So I'm excited to chat with Sultana at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to wrap up. So I want to see what you guys are writing. Did you guys have a good hour? Was this a good one? I know I come fired up because that book I just finished. So I came in hot this morning. I was like, I can't wait to talk about the power of habits, people. It was such a good book. But let me know if you guys see this afterwards, what habits you guys are working on. Let me know what goals you guys are pursuing. Maybe we can help each other. Maybe we can help dissect and unpack speaking of unpacking. So I figured out I have a habit on YouTube. I wanted to touch base real quick on it. Every Monday, there's a habit that I've developed on YouTube here, on being regular on YouTube, and because I was like, I couldn't. How do I share content consistently? I have to figure out that out. I had it for the longest time with Instagram, but then I gave up. Not that I gave up. I just found better opportunities with YouTube. I wanted to be consistent. How do I, go on a live, be consistent with my YouTube videos, right? The thing is, every Monday morning, we're on at 6 a.m. Sarah and I wake up every Monday morning at 6 a.m. In the beginning, it was hard. First of all, it was a goal that we wanted because we wanted to get up early. We wanted to chat with each other. And then it was hard because getting up at 6 a.m. is not fun. Because you got to get up earlier than 6 a.m. because we're live at 6 a.m. So we got to get up before 6 a.m. and then get ready and be live at 6 a.m. That's not fun on a Monday morning after a weekend. You know what I mean? But we did it. And now we crave it since June, I think was. So we're months into it. And now Sarah and I are like, yes, I can't wait for Monday morning. I can't wait to start. So we start off our week every Monday morning at 6 a.m. We crave it. And when we can't, we miss it. We're like, something's off. It's like my weeks blend into one another, right? So that became a habit. My 6 a.m. on Monday morning YouTube, connecting with you guys and chatting with Sarah, is a habit of mine. And I love the reward of it because then I feel good. I'm like fired up. I'm like, yes, this is a great week. I'm going to start. So my morning, I'm up on and chatting with you guys and I'm getting fired up. We're sharing a quote. We're going to work on the quote. The other habit I've developed is every Saturday going on live here with you guys. So every Saturday at 9 a.m. That's why I kept it consistent. I wanted to develop this habit of being on it consistently. So instead of picking whenever time to go live, I'm committed to Saturdays at 9 a.m. because it's a good time for me. It's, John's still like doing his own thing, so I can have the first floor, so I'm not kicking him out of the first floor here. No live. I've made it my habit now. So I start my Monday morning on YouTube, getting ready to start the week and tell you guys what we want to work on for the week. On Saturday, and I chat about how the week, and then I connect with you guys, and I come back and go, "Hey, how was your week? This is what I did this week," and it's become a habit. It's become a habit, and the reward is the connection that I have, or the relief that I feel, like the camaraderie, and that became a habit. Now I could have had. Now I've done other things on Saturdays at 9 a.m., but I replaced it, with this habit. And that's what I was like. So find habits, develop habits that make it easy for you, and try to eliminate as much decision fatigue as possible. So, Hallie, this is Carter. What is going on? Way off track. That's where I last left it off at. Angela, I cannot believe every time I watch you, you were talking exactly what my struggles are at the day and time, my prayers. Oh, Angela, honestly, that's why I'm doing it. I'm not on here on my soapbox. I'm in the fight. I'm in the battle with you. I'm fighting. I'm just sharing it. I'm fighting. I'm walking this life, and we're battling it. That's why I can. It probably sounds connect because I know that I'm not the only one going through it, and neither are you. We're all struggling with that. I count my calories so that desserts are high calorie, third of from total calories I have to weigh it. Whoa, that's Sarah's so intense. That's why I love Sarah. Sarah and I balance off each other. We're like the dead opposites. Sarah is like the rabbit and I am the turtle. So I let myself have a bite and that's it. That's good that you can just have a bite and that's it. Keto. My hubby counts carbs. So I count carbs. Yeah, I'm not counting any of those things. The only thing I am, okay, I did catch up, and that is sultana. Yeah, they hide sugar and everything. That's why the one thing I am trying to be, I'm trying to stay away from packaged foods because that the junk is all in there. When if we cook for ourselves, we can substitute, for better ingredients and everything. So instead of like using sugar, I'll use like white powder sugar. When I say sugar, I will substitute with like syrup or substitute with honey or something natural, substitute with fruit, coconut oil, like all those things, like we substitute naturally as best as we can, otherwise altogether stay away from it, right? So which is helping a lot. And so my big thing is the temptation at work is what gets in front of me because it's free, it's right there, and I'm desperate. And then it becomes, the trigger. It happens easy. And all I've done was replace my habit with, instead of consuming it, I'm writing it down that I've passed on it, and I have this, and now my habit, see it, I just go to my journal, I write it down, I'm like, this is in front of me, I'm passing, and my reward is going, yay. And the next thing I know, my clothes feel better, my rings are like sliding off my fingers, like, where before I thought I was going to cut the circulation, whereas at one point I thought we're going to have to cut the rings off, it wasn't going to come out of my fingers, and now they're just spinning, and now I'm to the point where I'm actually making sure they're not falling off my fingers. That's the reward. There's a billion other habits that I'm trying to work through because I have a lot of bad addictions. Maybe not the main bad three, but that was the other thing that was the thing that haunted me about that book. Okay, I got to really watch because Sultana, you're still on, right? Because as soon as I'm off this thing, I'm gonna send you my link to Zoom, so Sultana and I could chat a bit. The one thing that resonated with me about that lady and the gambling was how slow it progressed to the point where she didn't have a gambling problem. She just wanted to have something to look forward to. She just wanted to feel important. She just wanted to feel relevant. She just wanted to show up for herself and do something unique and have something to look forward to and feel special. And the next thing you know, in the blink of an eye, she's lost $1 million of her inheritance and she's back at zero for the second time, being bankrupt over addiction that she had no control of. Or did she? Because you know what I mean? And that's how we are in life. I was like, everybody is suffering that way. We all suffer that way. Resistance and the enemy have us in a grapple hold of the things that he knows that is not good for us, that we know is not good for us, is not serving us. It's keeping us from being our best version. And our choices are to stay this stuck or do something about it. And that's why I have this channel. My entire YouTube channel and my entire online presence is to motivate and help people not to change that, whatever that is, and to help them that there is a better way, because I'm constantly in searching of a better way. You know what I mean? Because I have 10 things that I want out of my life. I write it down every day and I want to pursue it because that's what I'm put on this earth to do. You know, we're not here to sit and eat ice cream and watch Netflix all day long, despite my better habit to do so. All right, guys, until next week, I hope you guys have an awesome week. Join us on Monday. If you or catch the replay if 6 a.m. is not your time, because I know there's you know, this is a global channel, so. All right, maybe 7 Habits of Highly Effective People with Stephen Covey next week. The reason why, so this Power of Habits was a great beginner book. It's a great to dissect and unpack. I mean, the story about Target, crazy. The story about the toothpaste, crazy, you know, and so many more. I can't think of it because that lady with the gambling issue, like it really hit home to me. And I have no relation to that addict itself, but I know how crippling something when you're spiraling out of control, because I didn't create for a year knowing that I should have been, knowing I wanted to, but never did because I was busy doing something else, you know what I mean, without my control. But it turns out it's totally within my control. I just had to find the action and the reward that fixed it, you know, and now the craving's gone, which is amazing, you know. All right, until next time, God bless, guys. Bye.